What if, for one entire week, you could only communicate by speaking in movie quotes? You couldn't just casually say, hello, or pass the salt, like a normal human being. Instead, every word that came out of your mouth had to come from a film. Now, I'm not talking about just slipping in a couple of famous lines from your favorite movies here and there. No, this is full-on method acting. You're living your life like you've stepped into a Hollywood script, and everyone around you has to figure out what on earth you mean, based solely on the greatest hits of cinema. Let's imagine it. First of all, it'd be pretty hilarious at first. Picture yourself walking into the office on Monday morning. Your boss asks, "How was your weekend?" And instead of saying something normal like, "It was good, just relaxing," you look them dead in the eye and say, "I feel the need for speed." And yes, you mean it. Maybe you're secretly channeling Top Gun, or maybe you just want to remind everyone how cool you are with your knowledge of 80s classics. The point is, you can't just give a normal response. Everything has to come from a movie. Let's say you're trying to get some lunch. You're standing in line at the deli, and the person ahead of you is taking forever. Normally, you might sigh or tap your foot impatiently. But nope, instead, you turn to the person next to you, widen your eyes dramatically, and say, "I'm the king of the world," in your best Leonardo DiCaprio impersonation. It's not just an expression of frustration. No, it's an iconic moment from Titanic, and now they're wondering what you meant by it. Maybe you're declaring your dominance over the deli counter, or maybe you just want to remind everyone that you once saw that movie when it was released, back in the 90s. Conversations would become like bizarre scavenger hunts. You'd throw out lines from all kinds of genres, horror, comedy, drama, and people would be scrambling to piece together what you actually meant. You'd be at the grocery store, asking if they have any avocados, and suddenly you're spitting out, "Here's Johnny," from The Shining as you approach the produce aisle. Now, is that a reference to your enthusiasm for guacamole or an unsettling preview of the internal panic going on in your brain? It's a mystery. But the fun doesn't stop there. Now imagine trying to have an important conversation. Maybe you've got a big meeting at work and need to make a solid point. How do you make an impact when you can't just state your case directly? Instead of giving a clear, concise answer, you have to rely on iconic one-liners. You can't handle the truth. From A Few Good Men comes to mind, but how does that help explain your marketing proposal? Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Instead, your coworkers will probably think you're slowly losing your mind. Or worse, perhaps they'll start mirroring you, quoting movies back to you, which would make everything spiral into an even weirder, more chaotic experience. And then there's the emotional side of things. You'd want to comfort a friend who's going through a rough time, right? Well, you're not allowed to use your own words of sympathy. No, you have to rely on a quote from the movies. So, your friend's going through a breakup, and instead of saying, "I'm sorry you're going through this," you break out with, "There's no place like home" from The Wizard of Oz. Sure, it's not exactly what they needed to hear, but now it's a weird kind of reassurance that the whole situation is like a bad dream they can wake up from, except, spoiler alert, no one's clicking their heels to get out of this mess. It's like you're both stuck in some surreal, cinematic loop, trying to find the right thing to say, but it's just slipping through your fingers. And it gets even more complicated when you're trying to convey more complex emotions. Can you express love using only movie quotes? Maybe you'd throw out, "You had me at hello," from Jerry Maguire, or "I'll never let go" from Titanic. But can you really convey the depth of human emotions with just a handful of lines you've memorized from films? What about when you need to apologize for something you did wrong? "I'm sorry" might not cut it when the only way you can say it is through a dramatic, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn" from Gone with the Wind, which, might be a little off topic, considering you're trying to patch things up. While you're getting creative with your quotes, people around you will probably start to notice. Some might find it amusing at first, laughing at your ability to quote movies in the middle of a serious conversation. Others? They'll be less thrilled. What happens when someone asks you for real advice and you have to respond with nothing but, "I'll be back," like Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Terminator? It's going to make you sound like the world's worst motivational speaker. But hey, what if you're just being clever? What if you're deliberately using movie quotes to make a point, a kind of performance art in itself? At some point, you'd start to realize that you're actually living in a movie. Your life would be one long series of scenes, and you, the protagonist, would only speak in snappy, famous lines that may or may not make sense, depending on who's listening. It'd be like living in a reality where every conversation is a dialogue from an alternate universe. And then, there's the question of what you do when you're alone. If you're stuck in a situation where no one else is around to hear you, do you still quote movies? Would it become second nature, even when there's no audience to appreciate it? Maybe you'd start walking around your house in the dark, muttering, "I am your father," like Darth Vader, just to amuse yourself. But then again, maybe you'd get tired of it all, exhausted by trying to find the right line for every situation. You'd begin to long for a quiet, normal conversation where you didn't have to reach for, "I'll have what she's having from When Harry Met Sally," just to comment on someone's lunch. By the end of the week, you'd be begging for normalcy. But that's the beauty of it. As ridiculous as it sounds, the idea of only speaking in movie quotes would throw you into a completely different perspective on language. You'd realize how much of communication is about context, timing, and shared understanding. So, what do you think? Could you handle a week of only quoting your favorite films? Or would you lose your mind trying to express yourself through the words of others? Let me know in the comments below, and remember, don't forget to subscribe. After all, life's a box of chocolates.